Is the color you see the exact same color everyone else sees? It sounds like a strange question. After all, red is red, right? You point at a stop sign, your friend points at the same stop sign, and you both say, "That is red." Problem solved. But hold on for a second, because this question is way weirder than it first appears. Picture this. You look at a ripe strawberry and call it red. But what if the actual experience happening inside your friend's brain, the private movie playing in their head, actually looks like what you would call blue? They were just raised their whole life to call that exact feeling red. They learned the word, they learned the rule, but the inner picture might be totally different from yours. There is no way to check, none. And once you really sit with that idea, you cannot unsee it. Let's start with the basics, because understanding the biology here actually makes the mystery even bigger, not smaller. Inside your eyes, you have tiny cells called cones. Most people have three types. One type is tuned to pick up reddish light, another picks up greenish light, and the third picks up bluish light. When light bounces off an object and enters your eye, these cones fire off little electrical signals based on how much of each type of light they detect. Think of your eyes like sensors on a camera. They are just measuring light. They are not actually seeing anything yet. The real seeing, the part where light becomes a feeling, a color, an experience, happens deep inside your brain. Your eyes collect the raw data. Your brain is the one telling the story. And here is where things get tricky. Even if you and your friend have nearly identical eyes, with the exact same cone cells working in the exact same way, that still does not guarantee you are having the same experience. Your eyes might send up identical signals, but what your brain does with those signals, the actual private feeling it creates, is locked away where nobody else can ever go. Scientists and philosophers have a name for this. They call it qualia. It just means the personal, inside feeling of an experience, like the redness of red, or the sound of your favorite song. Here is a simple way to picture it. Imagine everyone on Earth is holding a small locked box. Inside that box is their personal experience of the color red. Everyone agrees to call it red when they open their box, but nobody can ever look inside anyone else's box. You can compare the outside of the boxes all day long. You can never compare what is truly inside. You could ask 1,000 questions. You could compare reactions, measure brain activity, run every test science has ever invented, and still, at the very center of it, there would be a wall you simply cannot cross. That wall is not a failure of technology. It might be a permanent feature of being a separate individual mind. This is not just some fun thought experiment either. There is real evidence that human color experience is not as universal as we assume. Some people are colorblind in different ways, and depending on the type, colors that look totally distinct to most of us can blend together into one confusing blur for them. A traffic light might genuinely look different to your colorblind friend than it looks to you, and they may never even realize it, because they have always seen the world that way. It is simply their normal. There is also a rare condition where a small number of people seem to have a fourth type of cone cell instead of the usual three. Researchers believe this might allow them to notice subtle shades and differences in color that the rest of us simply cannot detect, almost like an extra layer of resolution hidden inside their vision. If that is true, then somewhere out there, people might already be walking around seeing a richer, wider world of color than you and I will ever know, and we would have no way of guessing it just by looking at them. Even stranger, history shows us that color itself is partly something we build with language. Ancient texts from cultures all over the world, including ancient Greek writing, almost never use a word for the color blue. The sky was not called blue, the sea was not called blue. Researchers believe these cultures could likely see the same range of light that we see today, but without a specific word for blue, they grouped it together with other colors, like green or even black, depending on the shade. Their entire mental map of the rainbow was organized differently from ours, simply because language had not carved out that specific category yet. If a word can shape how a whole culture organizes color, imagine how much individual variation might be happening inside each separate brain, every single day, completely invisible to the outside world. Some researchers have even tested modern groups who still do not have a separate word for blue, and found they were genuinely slower to spot a blue square hiding among green ones, even though their eyes worked perfectly well. The categories we are taught really do seem to shape what we notice, and maybe even shape what we experience. So let's push this idea even further, because it leads somewhere bigger than just colors. If you can never truly know whether your red matches my red, then the truth is even more unsettling. We can never fully know if any of our inner experiences match up with anyone else's. Your joy might feel different from my joy. Your sadness might have a different shape than mine. We are all walking around inside our own private universe, built entirely from signals that only we can interpret, locked inside a brain that no other person will ever fully enter. In a strange way, every human being who has ever lived has experienced a quiet, permanent kind of isolation, hidden just beneath the surface of normal life. But here is where I want to flip this whole idea on its head, because I do not think this is some sad, lonely truth about being human. I think it might be one of the most beautiful things about us. Think about it this way. Even though we can never crawl inside each other's heads, even though your red might be wildly different from my red, we still found a way to connect anyway. We built language. We agreed on words. We pointed at the sky together and decided to call it the same name, even without ever confirming we were seeing the exact same thing. That is not a flaw in how human minds work. That is an incredible achievement. Despite being sealed inside separate, private experiences, humans figured out how to cooperate, to share stories, to fall in love, to build entire civilizations together, all without ever truly comparing notes on the inside. So maybe the real magic was never about proving our colors match perfectly. Maybe the magic is that connection still happens anyway, even across that hidden gap. Every conversation you have ever had is a small miracle of two separate, locked universes finding a way to understand each other, even just a little bit. So the next time you look at a sunset and call it orange, or a leaf and call it green, take a second to appreciate just how strange and wonderful that moment actually is. You are taking something completely private, something only you will ever truly experience, and somehow turning it into something shared. What do you think your colors actually look like inside your own head? Do you think your green might be someone else's purple, or your yellow might be someone else's pink, hidden behind the exact same name the whole time? Drop your honest thoughts down in the comments below, because honestly, there really is no wrong answer here. If this video made you stop and truly look at the world a tiny bit differently today, give it a like, and please consider subscribing if you want to keep exploring more strange and fascinating mysteries about how the human mind actually works.